I worked in a mortuary. I slept with a ghost. And now, she refuses to leave. My name is Daniel. For 6 years, I worked as a mortuary attendant. Most people could not understand why anyone would choose such a job. They imagined darkness, cold rooms, bodies covered in white sheets, the smell of chemicals, the silence. But the truth was, after some time, you stopped seeing the dead as dead people. You began to see them as people who had simply stopped speaking. That was how I survived the job. I told myself that the bodies could not hear me. I told myself they could not see me. And most importantly, I told myself they could not follow me home. I was wrong. It started on a Thursday night. The rain had been falling since sunset, beating against the roof of the mortuary like hundreds of restless fingers. I was working the night shift alone. The other attendant, Samuel, had called to say he was sick. The security guard had gone to the front gate, and I was left inside the cold building with the dead. At exactly 1:17 a.m., I heard a woman crying. I froze. The sound was coming from the preparation room. A soft, broken cry, like someone trying desperately not to be heard. I stood beside the metal table, listening. The crying continued. I checked the bodies. They were all where they were supposed to be. Covered, silent, still. I told myself it was the wind. Then the crying came again. This time, it sounded closer. Please. I nearly dropped the tray in my hand. I turned slowly. There was a woman standing at the end of the hallway. She was wearing a long white dress. Her hair hung over one side of her face. Her skin was pale. Not the pale of someone who had been sick. It was the pale of something that had not seen sunlight in a very long time. I stared at her. Who are you? She lifted her head. Her eyes were beautiful. That was the first thing I noticed. Beautiful and terribly sad. Daniel, she whispered. My blood turned cold. How do you know my name? She smiled, and that smile was the first warning, because her lips moved, but her reflection in the glass door did not. I stepped backward. She took one step toward me. Don't be afraid. I ran. I ran out of the building and nearly crashed into the security guard. He grabbed my arm. What happened? I turned around. The hallway was empty. There was no woman, no white dress, nothing. I told him I thought I had heard someone inside. He laughed. Maybe one of them woke up. I did not laugh. That night, I did not sleep. The following morning, I checked the mortuary records. There was one new body. A young woman, 27 years old. Name, Amara Noosio. Cause of death, drowning. She had been brought in 2 nights earlier. I walked to the cold room. Her body was inside compartment number 7. I stood before the drawer for a long time. Then I opened it. The body inside was not Amara. I knew immediately. The face was different. The hair was different. The body was different. I checked the tag. Amara Noosu. I closed the drawer. My hands were shaking. That night, I heard her again. Danielle. I turned. She was standing beside the door. This time, she was wearing a blue dress. The same dress described in the police report. The dress she had drowned in. I could smell the river on her. Wet earth, mud, cold water. Why are you here? I asked. She looked at me. I have been waiting. For what? For you? I should have run. I should have called someone. I should have quit my job. But there was something about her. She looked so lonely, so helpless, and I made the worst mistake of my life. I stayed. Over the next few nights, Amara appeared to me. Sometimes she stood in the hallway. Sometimes she sat on the old wooden chair near the office. Sometimes I heard her walking behind me, bare feet, slow steps, drip, 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 drip. I began talking to her. At first, I asked questions. Who killed you? Why are you here? What do you want? But she never answered directly. She only smiled. One night, she said, "You are the only one who can see me." Why? Because you are lonely too. That sentence frightened me more than anything else, because it was true. I had recently separated from my girlfriend. My mother was dead. My friends had moved away. Most nights, the mortuary was the only place where I spent more than a few hours. I was surrounded by the dead, but I felt more alone among the living. Amara understood that. Or perhaps, she knew. One night, a storm came. The power went out. The entire building fell into darkness. I lit a candle and sat in the office. Then I heard footsteps. I looked toward the doorway. Amara was standing there. She looked different. Her hair was dry. Her dress was clean. She no longer looked like someone who had drowned. She looked alive, beautiful, almost human. Amara, I whispered. She smiled. Are you afraid of me? I wanted to say yes, but I said no. She came closer. The candle flame moved violently. The temperature dropped. I could see my breath. Why do you keep coming back? I asked. Because you invited me. I never invited you. She leaned toward me. You let me in. I felt something cold touch my hand. I should have pulled away. I didn't. That night, I crossed a line I should never have crossed. I will not describe everything that happened. Some things are better left in darkness. But by morning, Amara was gone. I woke up alone in the office. The candle had burned out. My clothes were on the floor, and there was water everywhere. The floor was soaked, the walls were wet, and on my chest was a handprint, a woman's handprint. The water was freezing. I ran from the building. I told myself it had been a dream, a hallucination, a moment of weakness caused by exhaustion. But when I returned to work that evening, Amara was waiting for me. She was standing beside the cold room. "Why did you leave me?" I stopped. "I thought you were gone." She smiled. "I am never gone." From that night onward, she began following me everywhere. At first, I only saw her at work. Then I saw her in my house. I would wake up at 3 a.m. and find wet footprints leading from my bedroom door to my bed. Sometimes I heard someone breathing beside me. Sometimes I felt a cold hand touch my back. Once, I woke up and saw Amara sitting on the edge of my bed. Her hair covered her face. "Amara." She slowly turned. Her eyes were completely black. I screamed. The lights came on. She was gone, but the mattress beside me was wet. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. I began losing weight. My coworkers noticed. Samuel asked me what was wrong. I told him nothing. But one afternoon, while we were preparing a body, Samuel suddenly stopped. He looked at me. "Who is that woman?" My heart stopped. "What woman?" He pointed behind me. "There." I turned. Nobody was there. Samuel looked confused. "She was standing behind you. What did she look like?" He frowned. "Beautiful." I felt cold. "Was she wearing a blue dress?" His face changed. "Yes." That night, I told Samuel everything. He did not laugh. He did not call me crazy. Instead, he became very quiet. Then he asked me one question. "Did you sleep with her?" I could not answer. His face went pale. "Daniel." "What?" "You have to leave that job." "Why?" "Because some spirits don't want love." He stared at me. "They want ownership." I asked him what he meant. Samuel told me a story. Years earlier, another mortuary attendant had worked in the same building. His name was Kingsley. He had become obsessed with a dead woman. He spoke to her every night. He claimed she visited him. People thought he was losing his mind. Then one morning, Kingsley was found dead inside the cold room. His body was frozen. His eyes were open, and on his chest was a wet handprint. The woman he had been obsessed with was named Amara. I could barely breathe. "That's impossible." Samuel shook his head. "No." He reached into his pocket. Then he showed me an old photograph. It was a photograph of Kingsley, standing beside the woman, Amara. The same face, the same eyes, the same smile. I stared at the picture. How long ago was this? 20 years. I looked at him. Then how can she still look the same? Samuel did not answer. That night, I resigned. I packed my things. I left the mortuary before sunset. I thought I had escaped. I was wrong. The first night in my new apartment, I heard water dripping. Drip, 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 drip. I got out of bed. The sound was coming from the bathroom. I opened the door. The floor was covered in water, and Amara was standing in the mirror, not in the bathroom. In the reflection, I turned around. Nothing. I looked back at the mirror. She was closer. Her face was pressed against the glass. "Why are you leaving me?" I ran outside. I spent the night at a friend's house, but Amara followed me there. At 3:17 a.m., my friend woke me. "Daniel." I opened my eyes. He was standing beside my bed. "What?" He was trembling. "Your girlfriend is outside." I sat up. "What girlfriend?" He pointed toward the window. I walked to it. Amara was standing across the street, in the rain, watching me. I closed the curtains. My friend looked at me. "Who is she?" I whispered. "She is dead." The next morning, I went to a pastor. I told him everything. He listened carefully. Then he asked me to bring a photograph of Amara. When I showed it to him, his expression changed. He told me not to speak her name again. He told me not to return to the mortuary, and he told me never to sleep alone. But none of it worked. Amara had become attached to me. She appeared in mirrors, in windows, in dark television screens. Sometimes I saw her standing behind me when I brushed my teeth. Sometimes I woke up with mud beneath my fingernails. Once, I found a wet blue dress hanging inside my wardrobe. I had never bought it. I threw it away. The next morning, it was back. Then things became worse. I began dreaming about the river. In every dream, I stood on the riverbank. Amara was in the water. She held out her hand. "Come with me." I always woke up before touching her, until one night, I didn't wake up. In the dream, I took her hand. The water was freezing. She pulled me beneath the surface. I opened my mouth to scream, but I could breathe. Below the water, I saw hundreds of bodies. All of them were staring at me. Then Amara leaned close to my ear. "You promised me." I woke up screaming. My bed was soaked, and beside me was Amara. This time, she was not smiling. "What did I promise you?" She stared at me. "You promised you would never leave." I said nothing. She reached toward my face. Her fingers were cold. "People always leave." I tried to move. I couldn't. Her eyes turned completely black. "You will not." The next morning, I found a mark around my wrist, a dark circle, like a hand had grabbed me. I went back to Samuel. He was the only person who had believed me. When I told him what was happening, He said there was only one way to end it. I had to return to the mortuary. I refused. He told me the spirit was attached to the place where the relationship began. If I wanted to break the connection, I had to face her there. That night, we went together. The mortuary was empty. The security guard was asleep at the gate. We entered just after midnight. The moment I stepped inside, every light went off. Samuel grabbed my arm. Don't run. Then we heard it. Drip. Drip, drip, drip. Amara was coming. Her footsteps echoed through the hallway. Samuel began praying. I stood in front of cold room number 7. The drawer opened by itself. Inside was an empty metal table. Amara appeared at the end of the room. She was wearing the blue dress. Her hair was dripping wet. Danielle, I could barely speak. Amara, she smiled. You came back. I came to say goodbye. Her smile disappeared. No. I felt the temperature drop. Samuel shouted, You do not belong to him. Amara turned toward him. The walls began shaking. The metal drawers opened one after another. Bodies remained covered beneath white sheets. Then one sheet moved. Samuel screamed. Amara looked back at me. You are mine. I stepped backward. No. Her face twisted. You touched me. You came to me. You let me into your heart. I was lonely. Her expression changed. For a moment, she looked human again. Then she whispered. So was I. The room became silent. I suddenly understood. Amara had not wanted to kill me. Not at first. She had wanted someone to stay. Someone to remember her. Someone who would not leave. But the dead do not understand love the way the living do. To Amara, love meant possession. Love meant never leaving. Love meant death. She reached for me. I remembered what the pastor had said. Do not speak her name. Do not accept her hand. Do not promise her anything. So I closed my eyes, and I began to pray. Amara screamed. The entire building shook. The cold room door slammed open and closed. I kept praying. Her voice changed. First, she sounded like a woman, then a child, then an old man, then hundreds of voices together. Danielle! I kept praying. Something grabbed my shirt. Something pulled me toward the cold room. Samuel held on to me. Keep praying. The floor became wet. Water rose around our feet. The smell of the river filled the room. Amara screamed again. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The lights came on. The water disappeared. The room was empty. Amara was gone. For the first time in months. I could breathe. I left the mortuary that night. I never went back. I moved to another city. I changed my phone number. I threw away every photograph. I stopped speaking about her. For almost 1 year, nothing happened. I began to believe it was over. Then, one night, I was lying in bed. It was 3:17 a.m. I heard water dripping. Drip. Drip, drip, drip. Drip, drip. I opened my eyes. The room was dark. I sat up slowly. There was a woman standing beside my bed. My heart stopped. She was wearing a blue dress. Her hair covered her face. I couldn't move. Then she lifted her head. It was not Amara. It was another woman. A woman I had never seen before. She smiled and whispered, Danielle. I turned toward the window. Amara was standing outside, watching, smiling. I looked back at the woman beside my bed. She was gone. The room was dry. The door was locked. But on my pillow was a single wet handprint. And beneath it, written in water, were 4 words. She doesn't like sharing. I have not slept since. I no longer work in a mortuary. I no longer visit hospitals at night. I no longer look into mirrors after midnight. And I never, ever sleep alone. Because sometimes, when the room is quiet, I feel someone lying beside me. Sometimes I hear a woman breathing. Sometimes I feel cold fingers running through my hair. And sometimes, just before dawn, I hear Amara whispering from the darkness. Danielle, you promised you would never leave me. The worst part is, I never remember making that promise. But every morning, I wake up with muddy footprints leading from my bedroom door to the side of my bed. And one morning, I found something new. A wet ring around my finger, like a wedding ring. I tried to remove it. It would not come off. That was 3 years ago. I am writing this now because I need someone to know the truth. The dead are not always peaceful. Some of them are lonely. Some of them are angry. And some of them are still looking for someone to love. But if you ever work in a mortuary and you hear a woman crying in an empty hallway, do not follow the sound. If a dead woman calls you by your name, do not answer. And if you ever see a beautiful woman standing beside a river with her hands stretched toward you, run. Do not feel sorry for her. Do not touch her. And whatever you do, do not promise to stay. Because some promises do not end when you wake up. Some promises follow you home. Some promises follow you into your dreams. And some promises follow you all the way to the grave. As for me, I still hear her. Every night. Always. At 3:17 a.m. And last night, for the first time, she whispered something different. She said, Danielle, I am pregnant. I am writing this from a locked room. The water is rising beneath my door. And someone is knocking from the other side. 3 slow knocks. Then a woman's voice. Open the door, my love. I can hear her now. She is standing outside. She is crying. and she is whispering my name. Daniel, Daniel, Daniel. The door handle is moving. I think she has finally found me. And if you are reading this, please do not let her know where I am, because the moment I finish writing this sentence, the door is going to open, and I can already see her shadow beneath it. She is here. She has come for me, and this time, she did not come alone.